Beneath the slow, endless tides of the Mediterranean, a civilization once dreamed of eternity. They raised colossal pillars toward the sun, etched prayers into unyielding stone, and called upon their gods to guard them against time and chaos. But no prayer, no hymn, no sacred vow could forever keep the sea at bay. These temples fell, these altars drowned, these names were swallowed by silence, as if even the gods could not withstand the relentless pull of water and memory. In these flooded chambers, among statues half buried in coral and columns broken by centuries of shifting sand, we glimpse a fragment of what was once unshakable faith. Images of Horus and Anubis stand mute, their gazes blurred by algae, their features softened by the gentle scouring of the waves. Were these guardians defeated, or did they simply move their watch to a new, deeper kingdom? Do the gods abandon a place, or does the place itself become their new shrine? As light filters down in rippling beams, you sense that these walls are still alive, still echoing prayers, still holding courage that once made people believe they could command the divine. These carvings were meant to outlast flesh, to outlast dynasties. Yet the ocean is patient, and the ocean is absolute. Over centuries, waves wore away names, faces, entire histories, until only mystery remained. We descend today not just to see what is left, but to ask, what remains when belief loses its sanctuary? If the gods no longer answer, do the stones still hold power, or are they only waiting as quiet messengers for a voice to remember them? Across these fractured altars, the sea has rewritten the meaning of faith. Once, people bowed to these statues with trembling awe. Now, fish swim through their mouths, and coral wreathes their foreheads like crowns of gentle rebellion. The same symbols of protection have become symbols of loss, and yet, something in this place still resists forgetting. A presence, a gravity, a truth that refuses to let its meaning die. Here, a falcon god stands with one wing gone, but his eye remains carved in fierce clarity. Here, a goddess's name has washed away, but the curve of her crown still commands respect. A staircase descends into shadow so deep it feels like a passage to another world, as if the story itself refuses to close. Every diver feels it, a hush that presses on the heart, a subtle dread mixed with awe, as if they have intruded upon an unbroken vigil. We are not merely visitors to a ruin. We are guests in a temple that never truly died. These statues, these murals, these broken columns ask questions no one can answer with certainty. Who were the last priests who sealed the doors? Did they believe they would return? Did they trust their gods to protect the temple? Or did they already sense the ocean would be stronger than any prayer? When you hover over a shattered inscription, reading a hymn half dissolved by time, you cannot help but wonder, does meaning survive if no one repeats the words? Or does it transform, waiting patiently until a new voice calls it back to life? Perhaps the ocean is the only voice left, repeating its own language of patience and destruction, layering centuries of silt over each story, then lifting it away in a swirl of currents, revealing it again for another generation to rediscover. As you surface, the salt clings to your skin like a memory, and the questions linger. Can a broken statue still guard the dreams of its people? Can a prayer live without a voice? Can a temple without believers still remain sacred? In these sunken halls, there are no final answers, only mysteries, waiting for those bold enough to listen. Beneath the quiet, unbroken surface of the Mediterranean lies a testament to everything humanity once dared to hope. Columns, once crowned in sunlight, now sleep in shadow. Statues once worshipped are now softened by coral. Prayers whispered here still drift in the currents, carried from tongue to tide, asking questions we can barely answer. These temples were never built in fear. They were born from courage, faith, the belief that what we build might stand forever, but forever has always been fragile. And the sea is patient. When you drift through these submerged corridors, you feel how time has reshaped them. Fish weave through priests' uplifted hands. Blessings turn to gentle invitations for small silver messengers. The gods who once inspired awe now stand mute, their carved eyes blurred by algae, their mouths half lost to the dance of water. Yet something remains, something unbroken. Perhaps the sea has not taken their power, but preserved it, reminding us that faith may change its form, but it never truly dies. In the hush of the ocean, light breaks through arches like final prayers, falling on half-worn glyphs, catching tiny details no wave could wash away. As divers, we are drawn here not just to see stone, but to feel spirit, to sense that even in ruin, these places still breathe. Each chipped lotus flower, each faded ankh, is a fragile voice, carrying stories across centuries. They remind us that the human urge to believe, to dream, to honor something greater is older than any empire and stronger than any flood. We wonder, moving among these statues, what the last priests might have thought as the water rose. Did they trust their gods to defend the walls? Did they sense in those final hours that the sea was stronger than even the fiercest prayers? And what did they hope for as they stepped away, leaving these guardians alone? The ocean became their new shrine. Coral crowned the pharaohs with fresh wreaths. Algae embroidered offerings with patterns no human hands could plan. Fish took up silent residence among blessings, reminding us that life, in its quietest forms, will always return. Even now, centuries later, we sense these carvings still hold a heartbeat. The act of chiseling belief into stone was itself an act of defiance, a promise to the future that someone, someday, might listen. That someone is us. We have come here, across time and distance, to ask if hope. I think of the priests, the builders, the artists who shaped these columns, who trusted their gods so completely they etched their faith into every stone. I wonder if they could have imagined people like us, hovering in modern wetsuits, searching for the stories they left behind. And I wonder if they would smile, knowing their hopes are still heard, even through currents and coral. In this place, the lines between faith and nature blur. The sea is not only the destroyer, but also the witness. It wrapped these temples in silence, but that silence was not emptiness. It was patience, waiting for our return. Now we arrive, carrying questions of our own. What does it mean to believe? Why do we keep building, carving, praying, even knowing everything may fall? Maybe that is our greatest courage, to plant hope where it could be lost, to give blessings, even if no one remembers, to build a pillar, even if it may break. These statues, half crumbled yet dignified, show us that the courage to dream matters more than any guarantee that dreams will last. If we remember, if we dare to hear, then these stones will never truly be alone again. Here, beyond the shifting tides and broken arches, a final question emerges. What is worth saving when so much has already been lost? These walls once stood for gods who heard every cry. Their prayers are now half buried under coral, their blessings drifting like fish among columns cracked by centuries of current. Yet the silence here feels alive, as if each stone still listens, as if the ocean has become its own kind of temple. We swim through statues whose eyes have softened, whose mouths no longer speak, whose hands remain lifted in blessings meant for believers who may never return. These gestures are a testament, carved in stone with the certainty that faith can outlast all storms. And even now, that faith seems to hold, carried by water, guarded by coral, retold by the gentle movement of fish, gliding across half-forgotten names. A prayer carved on a sandstone block, a falcon with one broken wing, a goddess whose lion head no longer roars. They all ask the same thing. Will anyone hear their story again? Does a protector still protect if no one stands to be saved? These questions haunt these halls as surely as the tides do, repeating their challenge over and over, refusing to fade. Each filtered beam of sunlight crossing these underwater columns feels like a benediction, a reminder that the world does not always erase, sometimes it transforms. Coral crowns these guardians in new colors. Fish weave blessings no priest could have imagined. And in that strange merging of nature and belief, something endures. We humans look for meaning, even among ruins. We ask whether a prayer still matters if no one recites it, whether a name still carries power if no tongue remembers its syllables. But maybe the ocean, in its patience, holds a different answer. Maybe the sea keeps these stories for us, protecting them until another mind, another heart, dares to listen. Here, in these drowned sanctuaries, hope takes on new shapes. It grows between coral branches, rests on columns whose lotus petals have crumbled, hums through statues whose hands never lower. The sea is no enemy here. It is a witness, a keeper of memory, a vessel strong enough to carry these lost voices forward. These ruins still breathe, even in their brokenness. A pharaoh's gaze, softened by algae, seems to search for believers. A guardian's wing, chipped and worn, still seems ready to shield. Even fish passing through offerings laid centuries ago look like quiet pilgrims, paying tribute without knowing why. And us, we, the divers, arrive with our own prayers. Though we may not call them that, we carry the hope that seeing is enough, that remembering is enough, that listening is enough. In a way, we become part of this unbroken ritual, keeping alive what time and tide alone could never destroy. Perhaps this is why these places hold such power. They invite us to join a conversation that has no clear beginning and no final answer. They remind us that faith is not only something stored on altars, but something we carry in our chests, something we rebuild each time we dare to ask a question no one can fully solve. I think of the priests who once moved through these archways, singing blessings, lifting lamps to gods whose images are now half lost. Did they imagine strangers from a far-off future would come, breathing air from metal tanks, to read their words? Would they marvel that anyone still cared? The walls stand, columns lean, statues crumble, but the message remains. Believe, even if no one hears you. Bless, even if no one thanks you. Protect, even if no one asks to be saved. There is a beauty in that quiet, stubborn devotion, a beauty that endures more powerfully than any empire. As we leave, the sea seems to whisper after us, holding our questions close, promising it will wait as long as it takes. Wait for another diver, another dreamer, another heart bold enough to listen. And in these submerged halls, the weight of time is measured not by crumbling stone, but by the silence that surrounds it. Here, every column, every prayer, every guardian has been softened by centuries of water and coral, yet none of them have truly disappeared. They stand, patient, watching a world that has long since forgotten them. And maybe that is their greatest strength, to endure even without praise, to stand even without worship, to remain even if no one remembers. As we move through this place, we cannot help but wonder whether the blessings carved into these walls still carry meaning. Do the gods still listen when no one calls their names? Can a blessing pass from fish to stone, from current to reef, as if the sea itself has become the priest? These columns seem to whisper, reminding us that what was once sacred can find new form, that no idea truly dies if it is remembered, even by the ocean. Statues of falcon protectors, their wings chipped and softened, still seem to shield something precious, though no pharaoh stands beneath them. Priests whose hands have been frozen in stone keep their blessings lifted, even if no one kneels before them. Perhaps this is what faith means, to stand ready even if the world has forgotten what you protect. Coral wraps the pillars like new offerings. Fish dart through arches as if carrying silent prayers. Shafts of filtered sunlight slip through the cracks, highlighting carvings that have waited so long to be seen. The ocean is not their enemy. It is their witness. It cradles them, reshapes them, yet lets them remain. And in that patience there is a strange, almost divine respect. We wonder if the final priests who walked these halls ever imagined this. Their gods crowned in coral, their prayers read by strangers from a world they could never dream of. Did they believe their blessings would be lost forever? Or did they trust that something, someone, someday would return to listen? Perhaps we, the divers, are part of that answer. We arrive with our own questions, our own longings, and we find in these ruins not only mystery, but kinship. We too wonder if what we build will survive, if our dreams will last, if someone will care enough to retell them. And as we breathe slowly among these broken altars, we feel a truth that is hard to explain, that to hope is already to honor what came before. Even in ruin, this place feels alive. It feels ready to tell its story if only someone is patient enough to hear. The inscriptions may blur, but the memory is strong. The guardians may crumble, but their watch goes on. and the ocean, with its unhurried, unstoppable currents, seems to guard that memory like a careful scribe, ensuring nothing is truly lost. Sometimes the questions echo so loudly in the quiet, you think you can almost hear voices answering. What is faith without worship? What is courage without an audience? What is a blessing without a witness? The statues do not answer, and the sea does not reply. But perhaps that is the point. They stand here as a challenge, to keep asking, to keep wondering, to keep remembering. And what of us? We emerge from these halls changed, carrying with us a piece of their patience, their silent devotion, their stubborn hope. The sea has given them a kind of immortality, and maybe that is what we came to find. Proof that nothing sacred is ever completely lost, only transformed. The pharaohs may be dust, the priests may be bones, the worshippers may be forgotten, but their faith, their longing, their blessings echo through us now, through these walls, through the gentle flick of a fish's fin. Every detail, every prayer, every chisel line is a reminder that humans have always tried to reach beyond themselves, to leave something that might endure. We do the same today. We build, we write, we carve our names, hoping that when our time has ended, someone will see, someone will hear, someone will remember. And if no one does, perhaps the ocean will stand in our place, guarding our stories for a future we cannot. Beyond the arches where the light grows thin, we discover a testament to the persistence of faith. Here, the statues no longer roar, the guardians no longer stand tall, yet their presence is felt in every shifting shadow. Their prayers, once offered in hope and power, now drift in choral threads and lost syllables, asking questions that echo across centuries. Does a promise still matter if no one remembers to speak it? Does a protector still guard if no one kneels before them? These walls remind us that memory is as fragile as stone, yet somehow just as stubborn. The sea, patient and quiet, cradles these offerings, refusing to let them vanish entirely. It holds them with a reverence no empire ever showed, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. We see priests with hands lifted in blessings that have no listeners, their fingers softened by coral, their faces blurred by time. Yet there is no despair here, only a kind of silent courage, a vow to keep blessing, even in the face of being forgotten. We see falcon wings broken and worn, yet still spreading to shield something precious, a story beyond language, a fragment of a dream. Light moves across half-buried prayers, refracting like a final voice, reminding us that even when words fade, the meaning can remain. Fish move through these letters as if carrying the stories forward, refusing to let them sink completely. The ocean becomes the keeper of these blessings, a silent priest repeating the ritual again and again through currents and tides. I wonder if those who carved these walls knew that faith would last beyond their lifetimes, that a diver from a future they could never imagine would come, carrying air on their back, to read their fading lines with the same awe and humility they once felt. Did they believe their gods could survive such silence, or did they trust the sea to do what no voice could do, to remember? We stand here now, breathing slowly, trying to hold on to that trust. Our lights sweep over the columns, revealing words too soft to speak, prayers too faint to repeat, yet still there. And in that presence, something stirs in us, a realization that belief is not measured by crowds or rituals, but by its power to wait, to endure, to be ready if someone should return. These halls teach us that what is lost is never entirely gone, that a blessing can wait centuries for a listener, that a protector can still guard without a kingdom, that a temple can remain sacred even if no one enters. Each coral branch weaving through a lotus petal is another kind of offering. Each fish passing between raised hands is another kind of worship. The ocean itself has taken up the prayer, refusing to let these stones become meaningless. As divers, we become part of this long vigil. We carry the memories forward, sharing them beyond the water, reminding the world that courage does not end with ruin, that beauty does not vanish because it is broken, that faith does not die because voices fall silent. Perhaps that is why these columns still stand. They are a promise in stone that the human heart will always reach out, even across the impossible distance of centuries and tides. They show us that our dreams, however fragile, deserve to be remembered. That even if we build in sand, we build because we hope someone will care enough to look. The sea has become their sanctuary, the keeper of stories beyond time, patient enough to wait for us to come and listen. These prayers, once spoken in firelight and song, now echo in the hush of deep water, and somehow, in that quiet, they gain new strength, carried in a language older than any kingdom, the language of hope. We leave this place changed, understanding that the walls do not ask to be worshipped, only to be heard, that the faces do not demand offerings, only remembrance. So let us remember, even as we surface, that these blessings wait still, no matter how long, no matter how deep, that in listening, we become guardians too, keeping faith alive across the centuries.